Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Rebekah Roberts.
And I'm Yochanan Elrom.
In our top story, the Jewish state is bracing for war after Iran launched missiles and drones on the United Arab Emirates, effectively breaking the fragile ceasefire. The United States Navy began escorting ships out of the Strait of Hormuz last week after negotiations with the rogue Islamic Republic hit a stalemate. U.S. President Donald Trump said multiple countries requested American assistance in navigating the strategic passage that Tehran has used to choke the world's oil supply. He announced that Project Freedom was so successful, it drove Iran back to the negotiating table.
U.S. intelligence agencies believe that Iran's nuclear program still poses a serious threat. White House spokeswoman Olivia Wales said Operation Midnight Hammer obliterated Iran's nuclear facilities, while Operation Epic Fury decimated Iran's defense industrial base. However, Tehran is still in possession of a massive stockpile of highly enriched uranium that could be weaponized with just a few technical steps. The International Atomic Energy Agency has warned that it has been unable to locate 440 kilograms of highly enriched uranium that was previously stored at the Nuclear Research Center in Isfahan. The IAEA believes that if the uranium is further enriched, the total stockpile would be enough to create 10 nuclear weapons.
The United Arab Emirates delivered a historic blow to the global oil cartels last week when it announced plans to withdraw from OPEC and OPEC+. U.S. President Donald Trump has accused these organizations of ripping off the world by inflating global oil prices. This bold move comes after the UAE was brutally attacked by Iran and Arab states failed to come to its aid. Abu Dhabi ultimately turned to Israel for assistance during Operation Epic Fury, and Jerusalem quickly dispatched Iron Dome missile interceptors and IDF soldiers to operate them.
Naim Qassem, Director General of the Hezbollah terror group, has rejected proposed negotiations with Israel. Qassem addressed the Lebanese people saying that negotiating with Israel would only serve President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ahead of upcoming elections. The terror boss said his Iran-backed guerrilla army has been targeted by what he called American and Israeli aggression. He encouraged Hezbollah terrorists and their supporters to continue fighting and vowed that Hezbollah will never surrender.
The Jewish state is making a major move to expand its military capabilities and its independence. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed that he has instructed major investments in domestic munitions production. He said the defense budget has been increased by over $100 billion over time to produce weapons in Israel. In the aftermath of the October 7th Hamas attacks on the Jewish state, the Biden administration withheld weapons from Israel as it faced enemies on multiple fronts. Jerusalem vowed to become more independent, and the recent budget increase will allow Israel to launch weapons production domestically.
Jerusalem approved the purchase of 2 additional fighter jet squadrons from the United States. The Defense Ministry said the multi-billion-dollar deal will provide Israel with a 4th squadron of Adir F-35 warplanes manufactured by Lockheed Martin and a 2nd squadron of F-15IA jets from Boeing. The agreement includes a full fleet integration into the Israeli Air Force, comprehensive sustainment, spare parts, and logistics support. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu explained that Israel must always be much stronger than its enemies. Therefore, we are acquiring 2 additional squadrons of advanced aircraft to strengthen Israel's overwhelming air superiority, which was demonstrated in Operation Roaring Lion.
The European Parliament has passed several resolutions calling for funding to the Palestinian Authority to be conditioned on the removal of anti-Semitic incitement in its textbooks. The resolutions state that PA textbooks continue to include anti-Semitic content, incitement to violence, and the glorification of martyrdom and jihad. In 2024, the PA pledged to reform its curriculum, but has failed to implement these changes. Despite being presented with numerous European Parliament rulings over 7 consecutive years calling to sanction the PA, the European Commission has never imposed a funding freeze on the Palestinian Authority.
The Israel Defense Forces confirmed that it completed a 2-month mission in northern Gaza. Dozens of terrorists were eliminated and multiple terror tunnels were destroyed. Reservists from the 205th Brigade dismantled 8 tunnels running underneath Gaza during their 6th deployment since the start of the war. The IDF confirmed that the troops in the Southern Command will remain deployed in accordance with the ceasefire framework and will continue operations to remove threats to Israeli communities.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has initiated a project to combat the increasing threat of drones and unmanned aerial vehicles. The Hezbollah terror group's use of first-person view drones has been deadly to Israeli troops operating in Lebanon. These inexpensive UAVs are guided by fiber optic cables, making them virtually immune to electronic jamming. Last week, 1 Israeli soldier was killed and 6 others were wounded when a Hezbollah FPV drone struck an IDF position.
An angry group of radicalized students at Cornell University attempted to hold the institution's president hostage after a heated debate on the Israel-Palestinian conflict. The talk was sponsored by Cornell progressives and Students for Justice in Palestine. Michael Kotlikov said that after the debate, he was followed across campus by students and harassed. Kotlikov explained that he answered a few questions and then attempted to leave the university parking lot when several students surrounded his car and pounded on his windows. He said, "The behavior I experienced is not protest, it is harassment and intimidation, with the direct motive of silencing speech. It has no place in the academic community, no place in a democracy, and no place at Cornell University."
Tesla CEO Elon Musk has announced plans to visit the Jewish state this month. Musk confirmed that he will participate in the Smart Mobility Summit 2026, which will be held on May 18th at Expo Tel Aviv. The conference will bring senior executives from the automotive, technology, and infrastructure industries together with potential investors. Musk's participation will be a highlight of the global event.
Scores of Jewish doctors are preparing to make Aliyah, immigrating to Israel from France. Israel hosted an immigration fair for medical professionals in Paris recently and reported a very high turnout. A recent survey found that 4 out of 5 French Jews fear for their safety. One attendee told the Jewish News Syndicate that there is no future for Jews in France. France has become home to the largest Muslim population in Europe, which has threatened the existence of the country's 450,000 Jews.
2 Israeli universities have been named among the world's top 10 institutions producing startup founders. Andreessen Horowitz, one of the world's largest and most influential venture capital firms, released its top 10 list, recognizing Tel Aviv University and the Technion, Israel's Institute of Technology. It ranked Tel Aviv University in 7th place for producing 865 alumni founders who raised $30 billion. The Technion was ranked in 10th place with 783 alumni founders that raised $23 billion. Andreessen Horowitz noted that Israeli institutions outperform elite American Ivy League schools in founder efficiency.
A team of scientists from Israel's Weizmann Institute of Science, Sheva Medical Center, and the Mayo Clinic have created the first ever open digital atlas of a healthy human liver. The research group published its cutting-edge study in the scientific journal Nature. It demonstrated that the human liver actually functions in 8 precise zones. The team used advanced single-cell RNA sequencing to analyze the genetic activity of thousands of cells simultaneously. They also employed high-resolution spatial mapping to identify the exact location of each cell within the liver.
Hundreds of Christian and Jewish leaders descended on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. last week to encourage lawmakers to strengthen ties with Israel and combat rising anti-Semitism. Israel Advocacy Day draws pastors and rabbis from more than 37 states to the U.S. Capitol to encourage faith-based diplomacy. Jordana McMillan, the U.S. director of the Israel Allies Foundation, said Israel Advocacy Day gives the staff who actually shape policy on the Hill a chance to hear directly from constituents whose support for Israel is rooted in Scripture and lived out in their communities every day.
U.S. President Donald Trump has declared a national Shabbat to mark 250 years of American independence. The Bible commands the children of Israel to rest on the seventh day. Trump explained that observing a national Shabbat will honor the sacred Jewish tradition, dedicating time, rest, introspection, and gratitude to God. Shabbat 250 will be observed this coming week from sundown on Friday, May 15th, until sunset Saturday, May 16th. President Trump encouraged all Americans to participate in this period of rest, reflection, and gratitude. That concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, and we're here in our beautiful studio in Jerusalem. My guest today is Shai Shvalb. He's a tour guide and author of A Bridge to Your Roots. Shai, thank you for being on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Tell us a little about the book, A Bridge to Your Roots.
So I wrote the book after guiding Christian people, mainly evangelical Christian, in the land of Israel. And the idea of the book is to inspire the reader to get connected to the roots in the land of Israel.
For Israel, tourism is so important. It's not just that they see the land, that they feel the Bible, but they become our ambassadors when they go home. But what do Christians get when they come here? What is the benefit to Christians to come to the land of Israel?
They strengthen their belief. They strengthen their faith in God once they can literally stand in those places that they read about so many times in church or at home. And here they are at the place in Magdala, in Capernaum, in Jerusalem, of course. They open up their Bible. I prefer a printed version of the Bible, of course, not an app. And they can literally read the verses that were said by Jesus or by the disciples or from the Hebrew Bible. This is something that you cannot compare to any other experience. It's really mind-blowing for those people that place so much importance on the connection between the land and Scripture. So once you get to the land of Israel and you read Scripture, that's really a sublime moment.
You know, I've often heard from Christians that when they come to Israel, the Bible goes from black and white to color. But you're an actual tour guide. You're with the Christians for this experience. How do you see a change in them?
As I said, that they become excited by the fact that they are visiting the actual places that they read so many times about them. The term that I usually use is that the Bible comes to life once they come over here to the land of Israel. It's a life-changing experience. This is a term that I heard over and over again from the people that I was lucky to lead in Israel.
When people go back home to their countries, they're ambassadors for Israel. They tell the truth about Israel. There's a lot of lies out there about what's really happening in Israel. How is it important to actually see it for yourself and not just listen to what the media says?
You know, it was said that the picture worth 1,000 words. And I would say that a video or seeing the place with your own eyes is worth 1,000 times a picture. In other words, I know that in many cases, the people that I happen to meet, they come with almost no background in relation to the modern history of the land of Israel. Usually the first few days are kind of shocking because the amount of data in terms of history and the Bible and so forth that I deliver to them is really immense. It takes a lot of energy in order to digest all this amount of data into their mind. But eventually, by the end of their tour, they are very happy because they I won't say that they fully understand everything, but they have a better picture of the past in the land of Israel, of the present picture in the land of Israel, and some ideas in relation to future ideas in relation to the land of Israel and its people.
For the last 2.5 years, we've been on an on-again, off-again war in the region. It's a lot safer than people think it is. You know, no one's walking around Jerusalem in flapjackets. Everyone's going out and doing things. But do you think that this will have a long-term impact on Christian tourism? Or do you think once everything gets settled, the floodgates will open?
First of all, I must say that even before the war, some people had there in mind that they might see parachuters running in the streets, or maybe a Merkava tank in the middle of the streets. Obviously, this is totally incorrect. But it's true that during the war, in some regions, there were places that it was very, very dangerous to stay. And this is one of the responsibilities of a professional guide, to make sure that you don't place your guests in a dangerous place. But, this wishful thinking for tour guides started during COVID, when the land of Israel was totally closed for almost 2 years. And we said, okay, now when COVID is over, we're gonna have the amount of people that plan to come to the land of Israel during COVID, and in addition to those that plan to come during the time afterwards. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time to enjoy this influx of tourists because the war broke out. And again, right now, the anticipation is that those people that planned 2 years ago to come over here will come and will be able to see the reality with their own eyes. Nothing compares to this.
Shai, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
The message that I have to you, dear viewer, is that I really appreciate, as an Israeli, as a Jew who lives in the land of Israel, your support through your senator, your donation, and any other activity that you do. But remember, nothing compares in terms of support of the people of Israel, of the state of Israel. Nothing compares to being with boots on the ground, visiting the land of Israel, being in the places that you heard about them so many times, and really strengthen your faith and strengthen the people that live in the land of Israel.
Thank you, Shai, for being on the show. And thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
And now the truth from Zion.
Iran lives under a fanatical Islamic regime that treats its own people as an enemy to be subdued, and the rest of the world as a battlefield to be exploited. The Ayatollahs have created a dangerous state architecture, a terror apparatus at home, proxy terrorist militias abroad, and a nuclear enterprise meant to blackmail neighbors and intimidate the West. This brutal regime has built a system that traded bread for missiles, dignity for ideology, and truth for propaganda. The results are visible in every corner of Iranian life. Prisons filled with journalists and students, women harassed by so-called morality police, currencies collapsing, rivers running dry, families planning exits instead of futures. The world is paying the price as well. Bombings in South America, rockets from Lebanon, drones from Yemen, weapons shipments to every bad actor the regime can find. The choice before Iranians is therefore stark. Either continue under a theocracy that has fused religion with repression and turned national wealth into a war chest, or move orderly and decisively to a citizen-led system where power comes from the ballot box, is constrained by law, and serves the public rather than Islamic fanatics and their gunmen. The Islamic Republic of Iran jails the brave, rewards the brutal. It pushes nuclear enrichment toward weapons of mass destruction. It diverts national treasure to Hamas, Hezbollah, Iraqi militias, and the Houthis, while hospitals lack medicine and towns are forced to truck in water. The government then blames sanctions for the poverty the corrupt regime itself created. There is a credible alternative. Reza Pahlavi has emerged as the opposition figure most widely recognized by Iranians, not because he seeks to claim a throne, but because he calls for a national referendum so Iranians themselves can determine how they will be governed. He proposes a secular democratic republic, women and men equal under the law, minorities protected as full citizens, press and political parties free to operate, independent courts, and security services obedient to the Constitution, not to clerics or politicians. Security and justice would be straightforward. Those who stand down would be reintegrated. Those who ordered or committed crimes would face due process. Proven abusers would be barred from office and from control of public assets. This protects the public, avoids revenge, and prevents regime remnants from hijacking the transition to democracy.
The Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi is the only leader who can unite the people of Iran and help usher in a new period of peace and prosperity. Under his leadership, we will finally see peace between Israel and Iran.
The benefit to ordinary citizens would be immediate and concrete. The morality police would disappear from public life so women can live without constant harassment. Universities could return to teaching and research instead of indoctrination. Access to the internet would be available. Entrepreneurs could form companies in days, not years, and compete on merit. The IRGC would be forced out of the marketplace. The Army would return to its constitutional mission. Exiled doctors, engineers, artists, and business owners would begin to come home, bringing skills, capital, and confidence back to the cities and towns across Iran. Security will improve as Iran's state sponsorship of terror ends. A legitimate government in Tehran would cut off terrorist proxies, stop exporting rockets and drones, and restore normal relations with its neighbors, including Israel. Peace invites prosperity, such as direct air routes, open trade corridors, joint research in medicine, agriculture, water and energy, and regional infrastructure that would create jobs inside Iran. The world will have a role to play, but Iranians must make the decisive move. Regimes like this fall when fear is overcome, when citizens act together, and when a credible plan for moving forward is present at the moment of decision. Reza Pahlavi has just such a plan. Now it's up to the people of Iran to supply the courage, perhaps well-timed support from Israel, the United States, and other international partners will provide the opportunity. When Iranians rise up in sufficient numbers, the free world must stand with them. When the regime fractures, assistance should come quickly. When the opportunity appears to remove the Ayatollahs, it should not be missed. The Iranian people have earned their chance for something better, and Reza Pahlavi's plan gives them a path to do it. With courage at home and principled support abroad, the fanatical regime can be replaced by a constitutional government, and a country long held hostage by its rulers can rejoin the community of nations as a partner, not a threat. From Jerusalem, this is the truth from Zion. Up next, shining light from Israel.
One cannot get more biblical than visiting Tel Beersheba, the location where Abraham and his wife Sarah and their young son Isaac settled. The city of Beersheba has ancient origins dating back 3,800 years. A visit here is literally walking through the Bible. We are now standing along the biblical city of Tel Beersheba. The Israeli archaeologist Yochanan Elrom, who excavated this site from 1956 until his death in 1973, unearthed many strata of civilization. The area that they left open for us to walk through and to witness dates back to the First Temple period from the Kingdom of Judah. Archaeologists have several methods of deciphering history and telling exactly what it is that they're looking at. For instance, I'm now standing in a classic Israelite home. It has 4 rooms, 1, 2, and a third one over here, which we really can't see, and a 4th one, which is in the back. Only the Israelites built this way. So when an archaeologist sees a 4-room house, they know without a doubt that they are looking at an Israelite city. The city was divided into 4 quarters. One devoted to everything dealing with the military, another quarter for the governor and the ruling class, a third quarter which was for the civilians, and a fourth quarter which was the public area where all the business and commerce would have taken place. I'm standing in front of 2 of the 4 chambers located just inside the city gate. It was inside these chambers that the elders of the city would have judged the people. This is where all the commerce would take place, as well as during times of conflict, soldiers would be stationed here, protecting the city and its inhabitants. Tel Beersheva is rich in biblical history. I find it to be absolutely amazing that we can come here and walk through the stables that house the horses that belong to the mighty army of the kingdom of Judah. What we have over here is an amazing remain of a casemate wall, which consists of 2 walls made out of mud bricks, and the middle, which is filled in with dirt and rubble, which is able to absorb any high-impact attacks coming from the outside. This would have been a very formidable and strong wall in ancient times. One of the great discoveries here at Tel Beersheva was this 4-horned altar, which was found dismantled and being used in various buildings. It's believed by the archaeologist Yochanan Elrom that it was dismantled during the reforms of King Hizkiyahu, who tried to centralize sacrificial offering in Jerusalem at the temple according to the law of the Torah. Tel Beersheva is located between 2 major winter rivers, Nachal Beersheva and Nachal Chevron, making the water table here extremely high and allowing for several wells to be dug. In fact, many archaeologists believe that it was in this location that Abraham settled with his wife Sarah and their young son Isaac. Tel Beersheva has 2 distinct water sources, one inside the city that we'll explore later, and one outside the main city entrance. This well here was intended to be used by visitors or people passing through. This helped protect the inhabitants from any potential invasions. I'm standing now outside the second water system to Tel Beersheva. Remember, the first one is outside the city gates. This water system, along with the rest of the city, was built nearly 3,000 years ago. The second water system isn't so much a well, it's more of a cistern. The people living here in Tel Beersheva would have diverted water from the winter rivers Nachal Beersheva and Nachal Chevron into this cistern. Then they would have ample water to use during the dry summer months. I hope to see you on your next travels through Israel at Tel Beersheva.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Rebekah Roberts.
And I'm Yochanan Elrom, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Join us again next week for all of your Israel updates.